Is that with the railroad track and the dog? And
yeah, Grandma told us a little bit. Yeah, but Grandma just told just a few minutes of it. Uncle Charlie was an hour. But anyway, tell us how you learned. Tell me how you learned English, you know, because after you worked over here, Uncle Charlie used to work for 75 cents a day.
I'll tell you what happened. When I was bothering my uncle and aunt, I want to learn. Well, I said, I want to advise you to go in the city. But I got a friend at the sawmill. He's my compadre. I advertised baby for him. And I'll take you to him. In the sawmill. Then you got a chance to make more money. They might pay, I think they paid him about $1.50 a day. You see? $1.50 a day. Well, I got to do something. I'd be glad to go. So one day we got on a train and we went to this uncle. And he introduced to me, you know, who I was and everything. So you think you can stay with you? Well, you want me to board in here? I'd like to do that because if he's your nephew, you're my compadre, and I'll help you. And not to try to make money, but to help you out. So he said to me to be there and pay me so much money, you know, to stay there. And he fixed a little bed, planks, just 1 by 10, no spring. And the mattress was full of corn shocks. You know corn shocks, they wrap it up for 2 miles and stuff. That was cotton inside of that. Every time I go to bed, that thing is talking to me. Every time I turn around.
You hear him rustling?
Yeah. You're hot, I believe.
No, I'm not hot.
I got air conditioner over your little bit.
No, I'm fine.
I know, right? I bet it's hot and you're not hot.
No, I'm comfortable.
Well, good. So I stay there, you know, work at a sawmill, you see. Well, there was another man that was my age. And he says, Charlie, let's work at night instead of the daytime. This mill, you know, was a sawing lumber day and night. Let's work at night. And at night, you know, they're paying $2 a day. We make it 50 cents or more, you see. And I says, well, okay. I says, we work at night. It was my age. Louis Clark or something. Oh, he's dead tonight, but he died a long time. And
how old were you then?
I was 18. When I left old country, I was 17. I must have been 19 and it goes time to pass, you know, about a year. So we work at night. But when you work at night, you think you're going to sleep all day and next day like you do in the night. No. We used to come out, we go to work at 6 o'clock and knock off in the morning, 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock we go home, lay to the house, you know, had a coffee already made and stuff like that. We eat some of whatever it was, you know, and coffee. Then we lay down. And when you sleep about 2 hours, you got enough. And there was a walking in the ward, you know, the people living in a little bitty house, you know. As one day, as I walked along, you know, for some reason I ran into a place. There was a young lady, had a bunch of kids. Learn them look like a school, you know. Try to teach them how to read and write. And I used to go over there with the other boys and look at him. So I told the lady, I says, you don't mind if I come over here and you're teaching me like you're teaching those kids, and I pay you. How much you charge those kids? I don't want to charge them $1 a month. Then she had about 18, and that mean $18 a month. I says, it looked funny to me, a young man, you know, to be between those bunch of kids, you know. But she accepted.
Yeah.
She likes me. In fact, that I was afraid, you know, she liked me so much, I didn't know what to do with it. Really. Anyway, I started going to school because I want to learn. I want to learn how to speak, and that's what I did. And I started off. Now after I stayed, I think I never about a year and a half. About a year and a half. That's right. Come Christmas. And Christmas, I said, well, I'm not going to go spend it with my people. At the same time, my mother came to this country. When I got back here to Houston, I found my mother and my two sisters, and my brother, Frank.
You'd saved that much money?
No, my brother Frank had come over by himself. But I found my mother and my two sisters, and Gina, you know, and my sister Gina.
You'd managed to send that much money back to him?
Huh?
You'd managed to send that much money back to him?
No, my mother sold what we had out there. We had a piece of ground, you know, and she sold it. No, the more I sent him, you know, just enough to eat, stuff like that. But we had a few pieces of property, you know, grape orchards. My mother, she sold it and everything, and that's where she come. And she like to die on a boat.
Really?
She started vomiting when she got on a boat. She stopped vomiting when she got over here. She used to question it to my daddy. Says he knew that I wasn't going to go through like this. What do you want me to come here to America, and I'm going to die before it's over with? She used to vomit every day, vomit, every little bit of day. And my stomach was tight like shell. One day, you know, the boat wasn't doing this, the ocean line, you know, was rough. And the captain of all, everybody standing down in the hole. Didn't want nobody on top, see? But I didn't want to stay in the hole because it was too stinky. Too much people vomit on the floor, you know, and everything. So me and about 6 more men, we keep it upstairs, you know, and we hide ourselves against something so that it can be seen. And first thing you know, what I understand, you know, and this other man said, I don't like hearing so meals and nothing in here. They have a good time. They can't go no place. Let's go to New Orleans. New Orleans is a city, and we can have a better time, a good time, and everything else. And when they went to New Orleans, they got a bad company. In fact, they didn't send in no more money to my mother. You understand?
Yeah. When he got back to Italy, though, did he have any money saved up? Or had he spent it all when he got back?
Well, a little money he sent it while he was working, you know, but it didn't bring him.
Uncle Charlie had $2.50 in his pocket when he got off the boat over here. Isn't that incredible?
That's right. I had one of the king folks that said, give me 1 liter. So, $1, 5 liters. And one of my aunts would give me 10 liters. That's $2. So I had $3 in my pocket when I came to this country.
Well, what did
That's
you
all.
do? That's not much. Well, what did you do when you got back and found that Grandma Mazzola and Auntie and Grandma were here already? Did you stay with them and get a job then? And what did you do? Did you keep working at the sawmill and just start supporting them, or did they move in with your uncle here, or what? How did y'all live once they came over?
When did they come over?
Did y'all all live together?
I was working farming at Little York.
In addition to the sawmill?
Farming, on the farming here at Little York. Raise vegetables, strawberry, okra, tomatoes, and stuff like that, on half. I get half, and the owner of the ground, he gets half, and he furnishes mule feed for the horses and everything. And I furnish all the labor. And whatever I make, it is split. First thing you know, gradually, you know, it was selling the ground, and how much is it? First money I spend for property, want me to tell you know what it was? The graveyard.
Really?
Really. It's the first piece of property I own in this country.
Did you buy it as a graveyard?
It was graveyard. The reason it was because there was a bunch of people, Italian, that had to come over here from New Orleans. And there was a cut, lots of ground, and settled in 10-acre tract. And the owner, he gave it 2 acres for graveyard to the landowner. So one day they had a meeting, see how many people we was, so we can split. There's 2 acres in plot for graveyard. And they had a meeting. So I went into this meeting to begin with. And when I went into this meeting, they put my name down at 2 to get a block. Well, it was free, you see. All they had to do, you know, they put a fence around. In fact, you know, later on we had a meeting. And when we had a meeting, I says, oh no, we put a fence around this thing, so we know that it's already fenced. Why don't get the money? I says, I try to hold it myself and then tell them what to do. I was smart enough, you know. I can read and write, and all the rest of the people are Italian. They can write their own name. I was the only one that can read and write. And none of those Italians know how to read and write. Everybody was an alphabet. And we put a cedar post and barbed wire fence. So we know it's already somebody owned it. Put a gate in there, you know, and everything. We began with. Then later on they would do better. And that's what I own.
Is that
first a piece of property in this country was the plot on the graveyard.
Uncle Charlie, is that in that little graveyard out there on Airline Drive where Aunt Sarah's buried and Grandpa's your Grandpa's buried out there? Yeah. Is Grandma Mazzola buried out there too?
My mother? Yeah. On my lot now, they got my mother, my son Tanny, and my wife. Got 3 in there now. You know Tanny, you knew him. You remember him?
Yeah, I remember Aunt Sarah too.
Tanny, my mother, and my wife.
Do you remember Aunt Sarah?
Sure.
When did Aunt Sarah die, Uncle Charlie? How long ago was it?
Do what?
When did Aunt Sarah die? How long ago?
She died on 64, I think. How many years is that?
That's 64, so 12 years ago.
12 years ago, that's right.
Yeah, because I was talking to Aunt Pat about Aunt Sarah the other day, and Aunt Pat was surprised I remembered her. She didn't think I was that old.
Do what? Aunt
Pat was surprised I remembered Aunt Sarah, and I said, no, I was old enough, because Aunt Pat was thinking I was too young to remember Aunt Sarah. And I said, no, I wasn't. You getting tired of talking?
No.
Okay.
No. You all want to drink some?
Oh, yeah, you want some drink?
Huh?
Yeah, you want to hear some of what you said? No, I'll go get us something, water or something. You Put your bottle in there.
Put him
Okay.
in there.
All right.
Come on, you got them all?
Here.
It's going? Yeah, it's going again. It's a good little tape recorder.
How long have you had this house, Uncle Charlie?
Huh?
How long have you had this house?
We built this house in 1932.
It's a sturdy house. It's beautiful. Wasn't this one and Uncle Frank the two first brick houses out in this home?
Huh?
Wasn't this house and Uncle Frank's the first two brick houses in this neighborhood?
No, Uncle Frank's house was already built.
Oh, was it?
Of course, you can't compare that house with this one.
It's been so long since I've been in that one, I don't remember what
You can't
it was.
compare it. What do you mean?
It's not as nice as this one.
A cheap house.
Oh.
Who built this? Did you build it yourself, or did you?
Myself.
You did.
I had it built.
Oh. Well, Grandpa used to build his red houses, you know, and I thought maybe you were a carpenter
I
too.
had it built. I had it built.
But tell us about when you were courting Aunt Sarah. Because I read in the paper one time when y'all had celebrated your 50th anniversary.
Oh, let
you
me
used
tell
to
you
go
something. If you want to tell you the story about that, my first thing, you know, when I made up in my mind, when I got married, I was 24 years old, see. But when I made up in my mind that I like my wife, she only was 13 years old then. But I talked to our mother. Our mother was my wife's sister. You see, my wife was the first cousin.
Yeah, I knew that.
See, just like Uncle Sam Cusimano with his wife, they was first cousin too. And I told her, my mother-in-law says, you're gonna save Sarita for me. I'll wait to tell Jeannie to get married first. She had a sister older than she was, you see. And when she gets old enough to get married, then after that I get engaged with Sarita. And you know how many years I stay engaged with him? 5 years. 5 years.
Why so long?
And in 5 years, how close I can got it to him with just holding the hands like this. We sit around the table, our hands would be hanging underneath the table, and mine down so I can hold his hand.
Tricky, huh?
And the one that we got married, after being engaged for 5 years, one that we got married, we didn't marry in the church. We married in the house. And the priest that came from Galveston to marry us.
He came a long way, didn't he?
Well, they didn't have no priest in Dickinson. That's where she come from. They didn't have no priest in Lilio then, you see. And the priest used to come over here to Lilio to say mass once a month on the one-room schoolhouse. We had no church yet. On the one-room schoolhouse, once a month, the priest from Galveston come out there and say church. So I was engaged with my wife for 5 years. So we got married in our house. We fixed a little altar, you know. And well, to make a story short, that evening when we went home, we got on a train. And we was going to have a dance at Lilio, see, celebrated my wedding. So Uncle Sam Cusimano wasn't married with my sister. So they come after me. I used to the depot come after me and Sarah and our mother to take us home. So they come in out there on horse and buggy. The buggy had 2 seats, just like automobile, you know, one in the front and one in the back. So one in the front there was a driver, Uncle Sam Cusimano, and his wife sitting on the side of him. me with Elder Sarah in the back. And we already was a husband and wife. We already married in the church. We already married to courthouse. Now my wife had to have a divorce because we already was completely married. And you know, it got dark before we got a little yard. And while I was sitting in the back with my wife, I took my arm around, you know, and I put it on like this, and I want to pull her face to me, you know, so I can kiss her. And she pushed me around. After being engaged 5 years, and being already a husband and a wife, and she pushed me around because...
What did you do? Well, you couldn't do nothing.
Can't do nothing. But I wasn't going to holler. And that's not all either. You ought to have the thing working it right now. Still working. And that's not all, you know. Because that evening, my mother and my wife and mother, the two sisters, got together. Those groom and bride, they're not going to sleep together tonight. First they got to have a dance tomorrow, and tomorrow evening then they sleep together. And I had to sleep on the floor, me and Uncle Sam and Gusman. Put a mattress on the floor and we sleep in there. And my wife was my
Why did they do that?
I don't know.
You didn't ask?
Everything was different than it is today.
God.
Things
Well, you
was
wait.
awful, I tell you.
You can wait 5 years, you can wait another night. You know.
You didn't know that, did you?
No, I didn't know that.
No, that's funny.
Well, I tell you, really, the thing was more quieter than days. You didn't hear anybody get killed. You didn't hear anybody got killed. You didn't hear anybody girl that found him already killed, shot, dumped him on the woods. You never did read nothing like that them days. Everything was quiet. But now it's a difference.
Yeah, I would have liked to. I guess I would have liked to live back there. I don't know, but it had to be a lot more quiet and more peaceful.
I don't know, listening up with Charlie talk tonight, it sure is a lot harder times. Sure is a lot harder times then than there are now. When didn't you and Uncle Frank own a grocery store? Y'all had a grocery store, didn't you? Or was it just you on it?
Yeah.
When did you buy that after? Because, I know you started off with nothing, and then you first land you owned was your graveyard out there, and then you kept buying land up through the years. How'd you keep it?
Well, I bought a grind, you know. We used to, at that corner on that line, that Lily Oak Road, we used to own them together. Because when I buy them, all the way up put him on the deed, the two, you know. I wasn't the master of the business, but he wasn't in half with me all the time. I don't care what happened. And but the time it did come, you know, he had 2 kids, and I had 2 kids already too, you know. And the first thing you know, he says, Charlie, that's Uncle Frank. He said, Charlie, my father-in-law in Houston, they want to sell out to the stores. And it's a good stores. You know, I can make it right. You want to buy my share? The store and the grocery, whatever we had in there. Well, this is up to you, Frank. Whatever you want to do.
How long did you own the store? How long did you own that?
When they started, well, a good while after, well, to make a story, to tell a story, you know what about my brother talk like he wants to sell out, he's a share, you know. I says, well, I says, how much you think you want it, Frank? Says, I don't know. Well, I'll tell you what I do then. I'll put the price on, and you've got the privilege to buy or either sell. I'll put the price, and you've got the privilege, you can buy, or either I buy them with my price, and give you or you put the price and I'll pick them up, whatever you want to do. So he says, no, you go ahead and put the price on. So I put the price on, and I says, no, I'll give it half of that. He thought a little bit, and he says, I'll tell you what you do. You put another $500 in there, and I'll sell them off.
Now, how much did you have to pay for it then? How much did you have to pay him for it?
Oh, how much? Really, I don't remember exactly, but I think around about $6,000, I guess.
I didn't know it'd be that much back then.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
That's all.
You had $6,000 to spend like that?
Not that fast.
Came out over the years?
Over the years, I don't know how long it was. To begin with, we was working, I had 11 acres on that piece of ground. And we was working at 11 acres and run the store too. A store, was a small business, not many people,
Is it still standing, the store?
Oh, most stores there.
It's a restaurant now, isn't it?
Where's this? What corner is this?
Airline and...
Right on the corner. There's a restaurant in there now.
Of what? Airline and what?
I think Little York.
Little York Road.
Okay, I know just where that is, but I can't remember a restaurant. I'll have to go out there and take a look at that.
Oh, right out there, Little York Road.
Yeah, right.
An airline. And on Little York Road, on the left, they got a gasoline station.
Okay.
And on the right, they got a restaurant.
And that's where your store used to be?
Yeah. I was on the right. There were 11 acres out there.
When you
I had a good store.
You must have. It was.
I had a good store, one day I was out there by myself.
You must have, because that surprises me that it would have been worth that much money that long ago.
Where did you live when you had that store? Where did you live when you had that store?
In the store.
You lived
in a quarter.
Yeah, who was you and Aunt Sarah and Grandma Mazzola and Auntie and Grandma Canino all lived there, didn't you? Same place.
Yeah.
Did you go to church? Like, did most of the Italians back then go to church real regular?
You said
they go to church, and then we build a church out there. Later on.
If you worked that store, you couldn't go to church, could you?
My wife used to go to church. The priest used to come out there, I had the beer, and I had a little keg of beer. And once in a while, the priest, when they had no mess, would come out there and give a glass of beer. And the preacher says, how come you don't come to the church, Mr. Mazzola? Well, I says, my best day is on Sunday. I do more business on Sunday. I do all through the week. People go out, go in the woods, go hunting and stop going and stop on the way back and everything. But my wife would go to church and my mother go to church. And you know what? As they gave me the priest, well, I tell you what you do then. Try to be a good father, good husband, and good citizen. If you don't go to church, it's okay. But be a good husband, a good father. Well, in fact, that's the way it was. And my best day was on Sunday. See, the people would come out there, they had a little table to sit down and play scooper, briscola, tell them games,
We used to know how to play that. I forgot about scooper and briscola.
Yeah, I used to. We don't play
them too much.
I think Dad knows how.
You still know how to play this, Uncle Charlie? We played this. We should learn how to play this again. They were fun.
It's a easy game, yeah. I took play briscola and scooper.
So, Uncle Charles, how come Grandma went to school? She told me that she used to love to go to school.
Do what?
To go to school to learn to read and write. But Auntie never went to school.
Oh, that's,
how come? Did
I
Auntie
don't
not
know.
want
I
to
don't
go?
know.
She
I tell
didn't
you,
want to go?
my daddy,
Just in Italy?
when he was here in this country, she writes. And my mother, to answer back, she didn't know how to read and write. She had my uncle across the street. She knew how to read and write. He'd write a letter for her. And my daddy, when he write a letter, all the time in the letter says, be sure and send my 2 boys in the school for me and Uncle Frank. He never mentioned my sister. The woman that had no business didn't know how to read and write them days. The woman gradually, you know, had been come back and got to see the right this man now. He's a lot better now than he used to be.